Hello, how you doing today again? Welcome to another episode of Ubuntu and Open Source. Today, I'd like to talk about migrating to a Linux distro. This is going to be a two-part series. So let's take a look at the first part. Why is migrating to a Linux distro for you or not for you? Do you want to get away from Microsoft or Mac OS? Some people just want to get away from them. Some people just want to try Linux. Tired of system problems, not knowing why your system slowed down. Linux distros offer their systems without bloatware. Some may consider bloat in a Linux distro more applications that are needed, not necessarily bloatware where they're trying to sell you something like an antivirus program or an office application that's not needed. It could be a bunch of different things. Some systems from vendors come pre-installed with some of their software. Tired of always getting viruses or malware? Your system's infected or your browser suddenly has tons of toolbars and buttons you didn't install. Sometimes when you download and install software, whether it's pay or not, you're trusting that application or the distributor of that application that you download and install that it's safe. And sometimes you get malware or viruses. Your browser may all of a sudden have tons of toolbars and buttons you didn't install. Or maybe you're working on a project and your system's slowing because it's doing updates in the background and all of a sudden wants to reboot while you're in the middle of working on your project and your data gets lost. Or you wake up, you went to sleep, you had Windows 7, you wake up, you have Windows 10, which you didn't want or request. Are you custom building a personal system just to surf or email? You don't have to have a Windows or Mac OS system just to surf the web or do email. So, do you need to have software name like something from Adobe or MS Office or something where you're at work or you're a proprietary person and lots of people that you interact with only use Microsoft Office type products or Adobe type products for content or data or information? So do you need to have a software name? Those might be reasons why Linux distro is not for you, but that's a niche environment work. Same with IT requirements for your Mac OS to connect. if your job allows, whether you're freelance or you're working for a company, allows you to connect, and the IT requires you to have a Windows or a Mac OS for connectivity or an application that you're using. Sometimes colleges will allow you to connect to servers, but some IT says it's only Windows or Mac OS. Those types of institutions are broadening their scope to Linux type OSs, but there's few, not many. You can look on the website of MIT where their math courses, their information technology courses uses Red Hat Enterprise, or is it Fedora? So here we are at MIT Mathematics. We must install a fresh copy of Fedora on the machine. So MIT will allow systems with Fedora. If you go down here, there's some Q&As. They'll help you buy a Linux PC. So there are institutes that are broadening their scope for using Linux. What do you need to know? If you're going to have a Linux distribution operating systems, what do you need to know? First of all, hardware. Enough to know that it will install a Linux distro. And really, in that, there's not much. Most Linux distributions have hardware detection, so it will automatically detect the hardware, Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, sound, most integrated, just about all integrated video cards. They have open source applications that will run NVIDIA, but you also can install the NVIDIA drivers built for Linux, built by NVIDIA for your system. So you don't need to know, as far as the hardware, most hardware is good to go. If it's not more than 10 or 15 years old, it is good to go. What else do you need to know? Can the hardware boot a live media, CD, DVD, or USB? The most common way nowadays is to boot USB to install your Linux distribution operating system. Software. What is the purpose of your application? Not the name like Word or Adobe Photoshop. What's the purpose of it? What do you do? Edit content, type documents, surf the web, or just watch videos? Because if you're just doing, as a household user, normal everyday stuff, you can use a Linux distribution operating system that has no requirements of, work environment, like these reasons up here, whether it's IT or, having a name brand software. that will only install and run on Windows or Mac OS. So these are some of the things you need to know. And thank you. We'll come back with part 2.